Welcome to lesson 6. In this lesson, we are going to explore the EVNG interface and the host-only configuration. Before we explore these settings, I want to put a small remark on the EVNG processor virtual engine configuration. For example, as you can see on my NG333 virtual machine, I have number of processors 1, number of cores per processor 16. The virtualization engine Intel VTX EPT or AMD VARV is ticked, as we did it previously on our initial lesson. What we didn't do on the initial lesson is the put tick on virtualize IO MMU, IO memory management unit. On the EVNG website, it is suggested to put here tick also so that input and output operation can be improved for the EVNG internal virtualized components, like writing and reading from disk and other stuff. So we have put here tick also and can proceed to our primary topic. We have a lab opened on our 192.168.13.71, which is our EVNG 333. You can see it from here. And we are going to add a network. Let's say management, which will have access to our bridge. And say MGMT. Let's say OK. Then we are going to add 2 MikroTik nodes or 2 MikroTik routers from version 7.20.2. I'm okay with the configuration, but the number I need 2. 4 Ethernet ports each, 256 MB RAM and 1 CPU per virtual machine. Let's connect one of the MikroTik to the management interface, Ethernet 1. Now let's connect the MikroTik 2 to MikroTik 1. Let's connect, let's say, via interface 2 and 2. Now if we start both machines, let's say start, then console. The default username is admin and there is no password. Okay, it says, do you want to see the software license? I say no. Version 7 is asking to input some kind of password that we can use next time to log in to the console or to log in from the Winbox so that the router will be protected. Let's say password is 111 and repeat is 111. And now we are fine. Let's say export to see the configuration of the MikroTik. We see that it has 4 Ethernet ports. There is a DHCP client on Ethernet 1. Let's see what we have here. Let's see what we have on MikroTik 2. Login admin. No password by default. Software license, no. It's asking for the password. Let's say also 111. 111. Let's say export. So if we want to configure the MikroTik 2 via console, we are able to do it for MikroTik 1 and for MikroTik 2. There is no any problem. But if we want to configure it via Winbox, we cannot do it here because Winbox needs at least IP or MAC address connectivity with the router. And EVNG doesn't support direct Winbox management. It's like EVNG doesn't support direct web interface management. In this case, for example, on MikroTik 1, we have Ethernet port 1, which is not protected currently with any firewall, and we are able to access it via Winbox. which is configured on our host machine via this port. Let's see how can we do it. We go to our host machine. We have a Winbox here, say refresh. So we can see that this one is my home MikroTik and this one is the MikroTik which is connected to that management interface. Let's try to connect it via IP address or MAC address. Let's try MAC address. And the password was 111. Connect. And you can see that we are connected. Let's change the system name for this MikroTik. Let's say identity MikroTik 111 and say OK. Let's say IP neighbors. We can see that it can see my home MikroTik router and it can also see its neighbor. But unfortunately, we are not able to connect to that neighbor. Which neighbor we are talking? This neighbor, MikroTik 2, directly via Winbox. Why? Because it doesn't have a direct connection to the management. And it could be that we don't want it to be connected to the management interface, but we want it to manage via Winbox. How can we do it? In this case, we can use what we previously called host-only interface, which is set on Cloud 2 in our case. This management was on the bridge interface, this one was on the knotted interface, and this one should be on the host-only interface, which doesn't have access to the internet. Let's call it host-only. And say save. In Community Edition, we are not able to connect directly to the powered devices. We can do it only on the Professional Edition. It's actually showed some connection, but actually there is no any connectivity. Let's stop that device and try to actually connect to the host only. Let's say save. There was some kind of visual bug. The only connection which was registered is the one when we powered off the host. So let's not give it Ethernet 1 connection. Let's give it maybe Ethernet 4. Ethernet 4 to host only. What does it mean? It means that this MikroTik will be able to communicate with our host. Host means the computer on which the EVE-NG is installed, or the computer on which VMware Workstation Pro is installed. It will be able to communicate via MAC address or IP address, but this interface will not have access to any other networks. Let's switch it on. Let's say start and see if we are right or not, or if it works or not. Let's see if it's powered on. Yeah, looks like it is powered on. Now let's try to access it via Winbox. Here in Winbox, let's refresh. And we see that we have MikroTik without IP address on port number 4. Why? Because there is no DHCP client on port number 4 by default on the MikroTik cloud hosted router configuration. That's why it has no any IP address. It doesn't request any IP address, but it has a MAC address so that we can try to access it via MAC address, because Winbox is the software on the host machine which allows us to use MAC address for communication with router locally. Let's say connect. We are able to connect to the second MikroTik locally using Winbox. And you can see that there is a traffic on port number 4. And there is also some traffic on port number 1, but it's very minor. So let's change the system identity of this device. Let's say it's MikroTik 22222 and say OK. The identity was changed here. Now let's see if MikroTik 1 is able to see that identity. Where is MikroTik 1? This one is MikroTik 1. As you can see, it sees the neighbor on Ethernet 2 port, MikroTik 222, and on Ethernet 1 port, MikroTik, which is my home router. If we look into the diagram, we can see that this is Ethernet 1 and MikroTik 1 can see my home router here. And this is Ethernet port 2. MikroTik can see via Ethernet 2 my MikroTik 2. So in this case, we were able, using host only, without providing any internet access to the MikroTik router, access it using MAC address. We can also access it using IP address if the MikroTik on port 4 will be assigned an IP address. This is all what I wanted to show you in this lesson. If you have any questions related to this configuration, you can ask them in the comments section of the video. See you in upcoming lesson. If you don't want to miss any new lessons on the channel, please like and subscribe. See you in upcoming lessons.